Mercy Watson, Something Wonky This Way Comes. Chapter 1. Mr. Watson and Mrs. Watson have a pig named Mercy. Mr. Watson, Mrs. Watson, and Mercy live together in a house at 54 Decawoo Drive. One Saturday afternoon, Mr. Watson said to Mrs. Watson, "My darling, my dear, there's a movie at the Bijou called When Pigs Fly." So what this tells us about Mrs. Watson is she loves pigs. She's got a pet pig. She wants to go see the movie When Pigs Fly. "When Pigs Fly," said Mrs. Watson. "What an inspiring title. Mercy, did you hear?" Mercy did not hear. Mercy did not hear because Mercy was not listening. "It says here that the Bijou proudly serves real butter," said Mr. Watson. "Oh my," said Mrs. Watson, "real butter." Mercy pricked up her ears. She was listening now. Mercy loved butter. She particularly loved butter on hot toast, but she would take butter any way she could get it. So remember Mercy, she loves butter. She wasn't listening until butter was mentioned. "Yes," said Mr. Watson. "It says here the Bijou proudly serves real butter on every bottomless bucket of popcorn." "Bottomless," said Mrs. Watson. "Bottomless," said Mr. Watson, "which means all you can eat." "All you can eat," said Mrs. Watson. "What a delightful concept." Mercy thought that all you could eat was a very delightful concept. "Let's go to the movies," said Mr. Watson. "Let's," said Mrs. Watson. "Oink," said Mercy. So Mercy definitely wants to go too. Now my note here is family. And what I want you to understand is that in these books, Mercy is treated as family. Mr. and Mrs. Watson treat her like they would their own child. She is their child. So they're all excited. They want to go. Mercy's showing that she wants to go too by running and saying oink. Chapter 2. "Where are you going?" said Baby Lincoln. That one's Baby Lincoln. "We're off to the movies," said Mr. Watson. "Oh," said Baby. "What movie are you going to see?" "It's a movie called When Pigs Fly," said Mrs. Watson. So my note on Baby is that she is friendly. She shows she's friendly by asking where she's going. She's smiling. She's walking up to the car. I don't know if you remember that character. We'll talk about her in a minute. She is not smiling or being friendly. "Is it a romance?" said Baby. "Is it a movie about love?" "Well," said Mrs. Watson, "I think it is basically a movie about pigs flying." "Don't be ridiculous," said Eugenia Lincoln. "Pigs don't fly. It's a figure of speech." "What's a figure of speech?" said Mr. Watson. "The movie title," said Eugenia, "is a figure of speech signifying the impossible." So my note here is that it's important for you to know that the Watsons do not understand what Eugenia is saying about the figure of speech. Remember, they're not the smartest people. They love Mercy, but they aren't very smart. "Well," said Mrs. Watson, "we are going to be impossibly late if we don't get going." "Would you care to join us?" said Mr. Watson. "Yes," said Baby Lincoln. "Absolutely not," said Eugenia Lincoln. "Oh, sister," said Baby, "please say yes." "No," said Eugenia. But she got into the Watsons' convertible anyway. So remember, Eugenia, she says no, but she goes to the movie with them anyway. Remember, Eugenia is a little grumpy. "Where are you going?" shouted Stella. "We're off to the movies." There's Stella. said Mr. Watson. What kind of movie are you going to see? Said Frank. It's a romance, said Baby. It will be inspirational, said Mrs. Watson. It's a figure of speech, shouted Eugenia. So here's my little note on everybody here. So Baby, everything that she's saying and how she said it shows that she's excited to see a romance. The Watsons, they think it's an inspirational film about amazing pigs like Mercy. And Eugenia, she's just annoyed. She's in the car with a bunch of dummies. None of them understand that the whole thing's a figure of speech. Look at poor grumpy Eugenia. Is it a movie with a happy ending? Said Frank. Oh, it must end happily, said Mrs. Watson. Can we come too? Said Stella. The more the merrier, said Mr. Watson. And off they all go to the movies. So that's the end of chapters 1 and chapters 2. Our next video will start chapter 3.